Great big old hollow thing. Kind of cool.
Well, howdy. Nearly senior citizens, near greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this a brand new day. And remember, no matter who you are valid. And holy smokes, it is cooler today than it has been, but I still have my dual sets of fans in each of my two open windows along the side of my apartment, and I have only currently one of the two, move my hands, you can see it, two box fans in my apartment here going, but they're still going, and it's going to be only approaching 70 today by forecasts. Overcast, gray, cooler. I like that. Here's a big difference. When it's been warmer, it's been hard to get out of bed, and it's get hard to get stuff done, and I'm closer to noon before I'm moving. This morning, before I even knew what the temperature was like outside, I was up and moving. Part of it, I hurt a lot last night. Both of my arms hurt so much it was almost impossible to sleep. And I went to bed at like 11:30, and I woke up at a point, I looked at my clock, and it looked like it was 5 o'clock. And I went, oh goodness, got up, went to the bathroom, came back midnight. So it was a long, painful night last night. But I was up at 6:30, and I hit the ground running. I was out of here before 9 o'clock, over to Walmart, grabbed some foodstuffs, came back over here. I can't find one of the things that I bought that I wanted to show. It's a more spicy type thing with black-eyed peas and such in it. It's a southern style cooking type. You know, we'll sell it to you because it's mass produced. It has nothing to do with its roots anymore, but it's got the roots are southern United States, and so it looks pretty cool, and it's spicy and hopefully easy to chew. So that with the rice, because my rice obsession has not stopped. I have 3 bottles of rice vinegar in my refrigerator because I put a lot of rice vinegar in my rice when I'm cooking it up. I am still quite the rice fanatic right now. So that's a good thing. There's going to be just a lot of random talking here because it's cooler. My brain I'm bouncing off the walls everywhere, just ADHD. Which is an aside, actually, I have ADD, but they don't separate it. The real way to do it is you have ADHD, subset ADD portion of it. But why say it so much? Why not just say, yeah, I got ADD? The weird thing is, ADHD, the actual you can't sit down part of it, that is primarily something that is found among boys and men in at least the United States. And my sister's got that hard. She can barely sit down in one place. And ADD, attention deficit disorder, is where you can sit in one place. You may have bounciness mixed in with that, but it's mostly up here. That's primarily something found in women, and that's what I got. So I and my sister are both that way. But then everybody's DNA is a mess. Plus, I mean, I am her older brother. We have same mother, 2 different fathers. At the same time, I have another brother, different mother, same father, like 10 years younger or 6 or 7 years younger than I am. So there's a weird mix of just DNA everywhere when you look at it. Life is fun. One of the things I've wanted to talk about is something I've kept inside of its little case because I didn't want to keep it out and play with it or even put it on display until I showed people what it was. I occasionally stop in a GameStop for some useless tat, and this one was a bit of useless tat that kind of caught my interest. This part of it, dull. But it's oh look, you pop something open and you get the thing inside. And it being what it is, there are variations of the thing that you find inside, and you find out which variation at random by opening it up and taking a look. And they're filled with air. They're squishy, which why I wanted them, and they're cute. So I have now, I can put on display my little happy squishy thing. Am I going to go back in there someday and buy another bit of useless tat? Well, of course, that's where all my squishies came from that you occasionally see on display beneath one of my monitors. I think you can see them there. Those are the squishies there, along with my fries and my breakfast toast. This is Floyd, and this is Sinclair, and I didn't name them. That's the name that came on the labels. But here's this thing, and it's going to be in the background, so you'll be able to see it. Yay! And then one thing I did buy, they have an online version of this. You can play cartographers. I can't remember if I showed this off. I think I did, but I can't remember if I opened it up to show what it was. But you can play cartographers online, and it's all set up only for that. There are no sounds. There are no music. There's just graphics and gameplay. But it's on a game portal where you can play games like this against other people or just with bots. And it's all done through a web portal. But it's pretty cool, and I have failed miserably at trying to win. They give the AI just massive advantages. Like, you count stars in your victory conditions, and you have to get X number of stars, and you get X number of stars by what you play. They give the AI player an automatic 45 of them to start, and then they go from there. But this is interesting in that they give you, and again, if I showed you all this, my apologies, but I can't remember if I did. I think I showed off the box cover, but they give you a box of, a whole pad of these maps and pencils. And the thing is, the base game like this, as long as you have, well, you only need one deck, and you can have one to as many players as you want. If you want 100 people to play and you've got 100 sheets of paper, every single person can play. You only need the one deck of cards that I'll show you. Because you draw your map on these. You draw your map with the pencil. Because there are various other edicts and stuff in here, so I'm not going to be able to show off everything, but you have your various cards, but you draw, like here, like this one. This one's just a random thing, a forgotten forest. You have to draw on your map one of these two bottom symbols and mark it as this kind of thing. It has to fit on your map. And you make your map, and so everybody who plays it has the base blank thing with some features, but then you draw what your map looks like what is that, the hinterland stream. So you can put either farmland or water in the shape of that L, and that's the game. You draw these, and the game goes through a year. It goes through the 4 seasons, and it ends when the year is done, and then you count up all the various things that you've got. There are edicts where some things count for more, and so you get more stars if you got that, but it's counted up at the end, and it's kind of fun. And they've got a whole bunch of expansions for it, as well as you go onto the site, you can download. You don't need that pad of paper. In fact, it's suggested that you just print out a pad and then draw on it with dry erase markers instead. That way you don't have to worry about the maps. But there are people that make up their own maps that you then fit stuff on. There is a big community for it, and I've only played it online again, but it seems fun to play actually physically. So that's another thing I want to show off. So yay, that's a good thing. What else have I got? I've written some stuff down. I went all the way to Walmart and back, so partially I'm probably gonna go into a coma here soon. I shouldn't have done it. I'm an idiot. I know I shouldn't have, but I got some store brand cheese puffs, and I ate some sour gummy worms. So I am filled with sugar and not gluten, so I might be okay, but headed for a sugar crash anytime soon. But I have some things written down, because one of them, I was remembering the silly, dumb-looking dance, and I couldn't remember what it was called, but I remembered that one of these fellows who does animation did a Scooby-Doo version of it. I can't remember what the fellow's name is, but everybody he draws kind of looks like a big burly football player. They may be the nicest people in the world, but everyone looks like a big burly, not very smart football player. Even the Scooby-Doo characters, but they were all doing that dance. And so it was like, okay, I'm getting closer, and then able to find out that, yeah, I'm 11 months late on the whole Pine Grove Shuffle thing. Stupid looking dance, in that it's something that even I can do and probably will here for my channel here soon. Yay. But then I started listening to it, and Pine Grove Need To, the actual song, it's good. It's a good song. But it's also a dangerous song. I have a very shaky emotional stability. I have suffered from cyclical depression my whole life that has been partially treated and partially not. It used to be a solid, by clockwork, 2-week cycles, down and depressed, bad, and then back up to normal. Normal for me, depressed for other people's here. This was my normal, and boom, boom, 2 weeks, boom, 2 weeks, boom, 2 weeks, boom. And that was going on all my life. Now, it's gotten a heck of a lot more random through the years because of aging, obviously, medications, and things change. But I've had that cycle, and it sometimes lasted a short period of time, sometimes long periods of time. But my emotional stability, because of that, even when aware of it, you can be aware the emotional stability is shaky, and you can try and prop it up and do stuff to help it. But that doesn't change the fact that it's still shaky. You just have things to deal with it when it starts to wobble badly. Which I can have my emotional stability wobble badly. I mean, especially, I've been making this channel because my wife died in 2014. And as a quick aside, it's not like that's when my grief started. We got married in 2002 and she died in 2014. She had her first thing go wrong 2 years into our marriage. So I watched her die for 10 years. And I mean literally, she was the kind of person, she worked as a nurse. She was the kind of person that if she broke her leg, you would have to force her to go to the hospital when she was at work because she went there. And then you'd have to make her go take care of herself that way. She organized and helped run conventions statewide for, well, it's Rainbow Girls, which is all part of the Mason stuff, but it's a big thing about helping, giving young kids a thing to do, and she would organize that. She was a very self-determined, very active person. And then her body went down. And at that point, 2 years into our marriage, she had to have her heart valves replaced. And she went from that person that could take care of everything to, I had to push her around in a wheelchair. I had to help her to the bathroom. And it went downhill from there. And then she went on hospice and died in our living room in a hospital bed. Just 5 days, or within a week, of our 12th anniversary. So my period of grieving over this didn't start the moment she died. I'd been 10 years riding a roller coaster before it finally crashed. Then I've been dealing with it. It's been 20 years of just dealing with my wife up here 10 of it after she died. I'm not saying anything against her, because we were tight. Our orbit was tight. Horrible things like that can end usually in two ways. Either it breaks up the marriage, and things like this usually break up marriages. Far simpler things break up marriages. It made ours tighter, and that is what can happen. We just shed everyone and everything else until eventually it was just her and me, which is one of the problems, because we had 3 kids and I was given no opportunity to do anything with them. We'd given guardianship to her sister and family, but she demanded everything from me, and I had nothing left for anyone else or the children. So now when they're adults, well, boy oh boy. But yeah, so I wish it was just 10 years worth of grieving, but I've been 20 years with this, and oh boy, it's still been a chain around my neck. I'd do it again. I love my wife dearly. But oh boy, as my therapist has said, when I've told him what, he's gotten a fuller understanding of what I've gone through. He has said he knows of nobody, counselor or therapist, whether they're a group therapist, marriage therapist, or any other type, that could have walked into the wood chipper that my situation was and come out on the other side okay. So thumbs up. Anyway, I can't remember what started that depressing thing. So if you're still watching, if you could write Squishy Kitty into the comments, that would be cool. Let me know that you've watched through that. Do I have anything else that I have written down? Oh yes, Pine Grove. Yeah, that's what it led to, because I got written down the whole depression and emotional stability, because that kind of stuff is dangerous. I like the whole Pine Grove song, Need To, because it's good and it grabs hold of that part of me that will easily pull the foundations out from emotional stability, and wham, down it will go. The very first lines on that thing, it could well be taken as a, well, time to leave kind of song. Good song, but not a good song. But I think it's awesome with the whole Pine Grove Shuffle thing. And then it just ends up with, apparently it was this King Wallonius fellow that did this one. I watched him talk about this, but he did a whole rework of it for BBL Drizzy. And even the original sounds, I can't remember his name. Oh God. And now I feel horrible. It's like Marcus Bruno. Holy God. Please forgive me. But with him and a whole bunch of others that have been fairly recently doing music that harkens back to the old music of the 60s and 70s with R&B and all that. When this King Wallonius BBL Drizzy song, oh my God, it just reaches inside. It is so smooth. It is a beautiful, beautiful piece of work. Thumbs up for that. Yay! Past that, I've just been talking about the stuff that I wanted to talk about. I showed you some of the things I wanted to show you. I really, 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 really need to get all this stuff done, but I don't know what's going to happen with the surgery, because of course, the likely outcomes, there's one. I talked to my doctor and he agreed with me on this one when I said it, because it used to be surgery like this. It's either about a third of the time it actually gets better, and a third of the time it doesn't do a thing, and a third of the time, well, it's worse now. So that's what I'm looking at when they're going to be operating on my spine and right around my spinal cord, and the nerves that control my arms. At the same time, it's not something I cannot do because, of course, even if I ignore the spinal stenosis, where it's growing inward around my spinal cord and impeding the flow of cerebral spinal fluid, there is a bone spur coming out of it, aimed right at my spinal cord. That's got to get taken care of. So yeah, I can't just not do it. So I got an appointment to talk with them on the 27th of this month. I'm seeing my doctor on the 15th of this month about my whole cardiac issue. I got an appointment that I verified for the 23rd. I need to find out where that one is. So hopefully I'm not gonna die anytime soon. I feel mentally a whole lot better about what's going on here. I was facing an existential type crisis, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it until I mentioned that. It was like I went, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and I felt that switch click, and I have felt like, okay, here we're going, instead of, oh God. So that's good. But yeah, I got all sorts of games, and of course I got Fallout New Vegas that I'm going to be editing to publish today. Yay! So that's good. It's a good game, and it's all sorts of things that are just absolutely horrific, but it's good stuff. And yeah, I quickly have to dismiss a whole bunch of the stuff with the environmental storytelling, but one of them I glossed over quickly while it was happening because I didn't want to be affected by it, because I have had to stop while I'm out walking to take care of too much fluid accumulating behind my eyelids because I'm thinking about the environmental storytelling. But yeah, and the whole Sierra Madre thing, when you've got the stories, you've got the visual environmental storytelling, and now you've got verbal, because tapes are being constantly replayed of this character, Vera, whom you found out from the first part of the story. You know, she was being manipulated by Dean Domino, and she didn't know that she was dying, but she was, and she was being used as a pawn against Sinclair. And then when the bombs drop, now it's all the recordings of Vera talking about how she's terrified because she's trapped inside of her room. She can't get out, and she can hear all the other guests screaming because they can't get out. And you find all of their skeletal remains where they've been trapped. And you find Vera's remains in her room. And you find, like, one skeleton that had the security helmet taken off. But there was the gun. So you kind of know what happened. Again, I'm glad that I can find a lot of the humor, but it is just, it can be overwhelming. So, thumbs up on that. Anyway though, I'm going to get some editing done. I'm going to be going out on walkies. Hopefully you're going to be able to get done what you would like to get done today, and that would be good too. I still got some phone calls to make. Hopefully I can get those done. For all of my Patreon patrons, you are beautiful and awesome people. As soon as I can type, I will hopefully get some here. If I can get the reading done, then I will hopefully have 10 names here. And if not, I just did that silly pose for no good reason at all. Depends on how many spoons I've got when I actually start editing. Thumbs up for that. But no matter what, whether I was able to read those names or not, you are beautiful and awesome. For everybody that leaves me a comment, sometimes I answer them much later than I would like to, but I do answer as many as I can, which is nowhere near as many as I would like. Unfortunately, typing is painful. But I do read and appreciate absolutely every single one. Thumbs up, thank you. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side. And that is indeed a very, very good thing. Indeed it is. Aside from my flat feet, the electrical pains in my feet from my neuropathy, the bone spurs in my heel, the pains in my knees, the work I have to do to keep my hip joints in socket when I'm doing work, my low back injury, aside from my spinal stenosis and the nerve compression causing pain, and aside from all the various issues I've got up here, I don't feel 61.